So I'd like to welcome you all to leveraging existing opportunities, maximising customer loyalty and retention, which we all want to do. So this is workshop 2 in the Cost of Doing Business series, which Business Tasmania, the service that I manage, is actually with great pleasure is actually delivering the workshop series with the Tasmanian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. So today's presenter is Mikala Grossi, and she'll actually be running through fantastic advice that you can actually take away and practice in your business. So just quickly before I hand over to Mikala, please ask questions throughout the session by either using the Q&A function, which you should see at the top of your screen if you're on a laptop or mobile. You might need to have a little bit of a look under a menu or a few dots for it. Or raise your virtual hand and Josh will enable your functionality for you to unmute and ask the question of Mikala. So do feel free to ask questions as you go through. What I'll just start by sharing with you is the Business Tasmania service is a statewide service, and I guess the front door for you to access government support. So you can actually contact the Business Tasmania team, which I manage, about anything at all business related. And what the team will do is work out the very best solution to meet your needs at no cost, confidential. Ring up and have a chat with the team, and you can do that from the dreaming of starting a business stage right through to running a business for 1 year, 20 years, if you have that much energy, succession planning. So as many times as you want to connect with the team, please do so, because we're here for you to help you with as much support as we can provide for you to run your business. So a key service offering that I'd like to just introduce, and Mikala will actually talk to this as well, is we have 2 business advice service offerings. We have the new business support pilots program. That's available for people who are thinking about starting a business, and for people who have an Australian business number less than 12 months old. You can access 2 hours of free advice to get you started, get off on the right foot. Then once your Australian business number is clocks over to 12 months, you can then go on and access 12 months, 5 hours of free advice each financial year. And it can be around any aspect of running a business. It can be around what you're hearing today from Mikala. So anything at all. And again, that's no cost and absolutely confidential. So please keep that in mind. If you're hearing things today and you think, gee, where can I go now to work on this? You can then access the advice service offering through contacting the Business Tasmania team on 1800 440 026 or through our website business.tas.gov.au. Quick intro there. So there's lots more things that we can do to support you through the Business Tasmania service. But what I'll do now is hand over to Mikala, and she'll talk you through the presentation today.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Kel. So as Kel mentioned, today we're looking at 2 areas that can have a big impact on your business without needing to spend a lot of time or money. So first of all, we're going to dig into customer loyalty and retention. And the reason we're doing this is because data shows that keeping your customers is actually way cheaper and more effective than constantly expending time, money, and energy in finding new customers. So after we've talked about that for a bit, then we're going to have a look at some other potential low-hanging fruit in your business. So what I mean by low-hanging fruit are quick wins. So the small practical changes that you can implement that can save you time, reduce stress, or ideally bring in a bit of extra revenue, but all with minimal effort. So my hope is that by the end of this session, you'll have identified some opportunities that are already sitting inside your business that'll provide you and that I'll also provide you with a few extra simple ideas that you can take away and run with. And I'm just going to preface this by saying I've actually just returned from a holiday to New Zealand, and I came across so many different examples of amazing customer service and average customer service. So I'm also going to be sharing with you some really practical examples and ideas that I came across that I just thought were fantastic. And I feel like they're things that could be really easy to implement in your business. So the first point that I want to make, and I've kind of already said this, is that customer retention is significantly cheaper for most businesses than acquiring new customers. And when I say significantly cheaper, acquisition or customer acquisition, bringing in new customers can actually cost you 5 to 10 times more than what it can cost you. And by cost, I mean monetary costs, but also time. So it can be 5 to 10 times higher than what it costs you to keep an existing customer. So an existing customer is someone who already thinks that your business is wonderful. So you really want to put the energy into trying to keep them close and keep them coming back. But the thing about customer retention is that you don't just want the same customers returning again and again. You also want to activate customer loyalty. And customer loyalty is about word of mouth referrals. And true loyalty means that customers return and actively recommend your business. And it's something that's really worthwhile not only investing in, but also measuring. So a key metric or different ways that you can measure customer loyalty include a repeat purchase rate. So this is how often customers come back. So the way this metric kind of works is that it measures the percentage of customers who make more than one purchase from a business within a specific time frame. So say it's a month. So it divides the number of customers who have made more than one purchase in a month by the total number of customers who have made at least one purchase over the same time period. So if that's confusing, you can Google it. There's some really good explanations and ways that you can work it out, but it's a really important thing to know. So how often your customers come back. Another thing that you can measure is your customer lifetime value. Now, again, I highly recommend Googling this because this can get quite complex, but that's a measure of the total income that your business can expect to bring in from a typical customer over their entire relationship period with your brand. So this is more of kind of a projection to give you an idea of how much each customer or each average customer is worth to your business. Another metric is called the Net Promoter Score. So this measures how likely customers are to refer others. So this is one that's really important. And generally, this is measured just by asking a really simple question. So something like, how likely are you to recommend this business to a friend or colleague? And again, if you Google this, there's lots of different questions and resources that come up around it. And the last metric that you might want to look at in your business is called your customer churn rate. So this is the percentage of customers who stop engaging or buying from a business within a period of time. So this is also important to know. It's like where you need to know where your customers are dropping off. Do you have a high churn rate or a low churn rate? Because once you've got this data, then you can use that to make decisions and to monitor changes that you make in your business. So tracking your customer behavior through data collection using these metrics and ideally a CRM or client relationship management system is really crucial. And lots of businesses actually struggle with their client or customer retention simply because they don't measure it, so they don't know what's happening. And just an aside on that, so lots of point of sale systems, so your POS systems and e-commerce platforms should have the ability to track these things for you. So I'd recommend if you already use a really good POS or e-commerce system to actually have a look through their supporting documentation and do a search for these key terms and see what it says, see what you can access and what you can find out from your system that you've already got in place. So the next point I wanted to make is that it's really important for your business to stand out beyond price. So in order to build a long-term customer loyalty relationship, especially in a competitive market, you've got to stand out in different ways. And competing purely on price, so by this I mean, having your price set lower than your competitors or constantly discounting or running sales, that's a really fast race to the bottom. What you want to do is focus on a few different things, which I'm going to suggest now, which are other ways of adding value and making your business stand out aside from just the price point. So some of the strategies that you could use, and again, these are about building long-term customer loyalty, are things like adding value. So what I mean by that is rather than discounting, you want to offer other unique things that are special to your business. So these could be exclusive offers or added extras. So it's things that you can do differently to your competitors. So one example of this, again, from my trip is my kids and I did an indoor skydiving thing. And when we first looked at this online, we kind of had a look at the pricing and we decided that we were just going to do the minimum version that you could do. It was it had all the basics, but it met our needs. So I'm afraid of heights, so I wanted to go along and have a look at what it looked like first before we actually signed up to doing it. So we went along to the building where they were actually positioned. And when we went in there, they had a fabulous customer service representative behind the counter who talked us through the different options. So each tier of service that they had just added value to the client, so value to us, but without actually adding anything extra to the business or costing the business further. So what I mean by that is to go up to the next tier of service. The base tier, we got access to an open-faced helmet. We could look at all these videos and photos and purchase them. And I think we got 2 minutes of flight time. So the next tier up was like an extra minute of flight time. We got a full face helmet, which is more comfortable when you've got air blowing up at you. And then the next tier above that was, again, full face helmet. We got another minute of flight time. And we also got access to the videos and the photos for free. So it doesn't cost the business anything extra to add these extra levels, but it offers extra value to the client. So if you can do things like that, find different ways of adding value or perceived value for the client that doesn't actually cost your business anything extra, like that is absolute gold. So the next point, delivering consistent high quality experiences. So this is what brings your customers back, because they know that each time they return, that they know what they're going to expect. And loyalty is actually built through reliability. So again, I'm going to go back to talking about the indoor skydiving. So when we made our appointment to come back the next day and have our session, we were asked to fill out a consent form, a waiver. And part of that, they had the three of us, so it was myself and my children, our names and our dates of birth and our genders. So when we came back the next day for our appointment, we were actually welcomed by name. The guy behind the counter worked out, I'm the eldest female, so I'm the mother. So he said, welcome Mikala, and he welcomed my two kids as well by name, which was fantastic. Like we felt, like we were valued and that we were seen. And, he talked us through all the things, and then he took us around to where you actually do the activity, and he introduced us again by name to the instructor. So just having that little connection, like the welcome, using our names, knowing who we were, and then going around and personally introducing us to our instructor, like that really made a big impact on us. That really set the standard for the service that we received. So again, just little things like that, if you can work out ways to incorporate them into your business, it can make a really big difference. Making people feel cared for is fantastic. The next point, high quality recruitment and training. So I've got another example on this one. So what you want to do is hire employees who genuinely enjoy customer service and believe in your product or service. And you also need to train them properly, because staff engagement directly impacts customer experience. So you want to train your team like they're your product or your service, like they are what you're giving your customers. So the quick example I want to give here, and this is a not so great example, but on our flight from Hobart to Sydney, we had this flight attendant who, I didn't really notice her, but my daughter commented on her. She was quite young and she was blonde, and the entire flight, she did not crack a smile once. She spoke to us, you know, she had a very serious face when she was doing the safety demonstration. Again, no smile. Like my daughter actually said that she hates her job, she hates her life. And so, you know, that kind of happened. Everyone else was great, but this one person stood out. And then on the flight back, funnily enough, she was on the flight and I didn't recognize her, but my daughter made the comment that, oh, we've got the flight attendant who hates her life, you know, and it was really noticeable to my daughter and me once I realized it, like I recognized her straight away. But it really makes a really big difference to have people that are happy to be there, that want to engage with your customers and give them a good experience, because just one person like that really stood out. The rest of the staff on the flight were fantastic, but this one person is the one that stood out. And then recognising and rewarding repeat customers. So there's lots of different ways you can do this. You can, you know, do things like loyalty programs, personalised thank you messages. One simple thing that we came across, so, and this was an outdoor clothing store company, we were offered a 20% discount off any full price item that we bought if we gave them our email address then and there and joined their mailing list. So obviously we did that. And then once the transaction was complete, they sent through the receipt digitally, and in that receipt email was a link to provide feedback on the experience that we'd had in store. And when you click that link and provided the feedback, they then provided you with a code to use to get 10% off their online store. So that's a really great way that's actually quite simple if you have an email marketing platform set up, or, you know, some kind of system for capturing client data and communicating with your clients. It's a really simple way of doing it, because, you know, we had we were essentially thanked for purchasing in-store by getting the 20% discount, and then we were encouraged to come back into their online store to use the 10% discount. So it doesn't need to be something that's really complex. It can be something really, really simple like that. So number 3, customer experience is key, as I've kind of spoken about already. So the more personalised you can make the experience of your business for your customers, the better. And as much as possible, you want to avoid generic and one-size-fits-all approaches. So in this respect, it is really important to know everything you can about your audience and your customer base. So the first thing you want to do is to understand your customer journey. So again, this is what I was talking about with the indoor skydiving, the fact that once we approached the business for our appointment, we were taken care of so beautifully and so well. So the way that you can do this, and this is applicable obviously to both online businesses. So if you have an online store or a bricks and mortar store, or if you're a service provider, you know, whether you provide that service online or face to face, this applies to everything. So the first thing you want to do is to approach your business with fresh eyes. So think about, what do they see when they first approach your office or shop front or land on your website? And you need to think about, is it clean and professional, or is it cluttered and tired? You want to think about, how do they get around? Is it easy and pleasant? You know, do you have a good flow? Can people see where they need to go? You know, again, being a consumer while I was away on holiday, looking for checkouts, are they easy to find? Is it easy to see where people need to go to do what they need to do? So is it easy to get around? Are the aisles and displays set up well and are easy to browse and access? Or again, if it's a website, is that all easy to use, easy to see? And is your website easy to navigate? That's a really important point. The next thing you want to consider is, have you removed as many barriers from purchasing as possible? So is it easy to purchase? And also, if they need to make an appointment, so again, if you're a service provider, is it easy for them to do so? Or are there lots of steps to follow? Because the more steps that you expect people to follow, the more likely it is that they're not going to make it through to the purchase. So you want to keep things really, really simple and really easy for them. Is your brand consistent? So by brand, you know, we're talking about your logo, your colors, your general look and feel of your business. This can also include the music and the atmosphere in your store, the color palette. So these things are really subtle, but they're also really quite powerful in how your customers feel about a business. So another business that my kids and I went to while we were there was a place called Kingpin. We don't have it here in Tasmania. I think they have some on the mainland, but it's this, it's actually really cool. This, I guess you call it an entertainment centre. So they had 10-pin bowling, they had escape rooms, they had an arcade game section, they had darts, pool tables, all of these different things that you could do. And it was a very large building. It was a 2-story building. And it didn't matter where you went in that building, everything was really consistent. The decor was consistent, the signage was consistent. They had signs up, you knew exactly where you needed to go, what you needed to do. They had music playing, and again, it was consistent everywhere. Like, you knew everywhere you turned that you were in the right place, that it was all together and it was all coherent. And again, that created a really nice wraparound feeling for the customers. So again, is it personal? This is about knowing your customers by name or their preferences, if it's possible to know that. And knowing these things creates stronger bonds. So you can do small, thoughtful gestures for your clients that can make a big difference. If you have an online store, you want to think about things like, have you set up your email marketing so that it addresses your customers by their first name? That can be a really simple thing. If customers sign up to an email list, or, you know, an email marketing list, you want to have the ability to send them an email saying, "Dear Karen" or "Dear Fred," because that feels more personal than just sending an email launching into, "We've got this special on." So think about little things like this when you set up CRMs and marketing platforms. And finally, keep it simple. As I said before, you want to have as few steps as possible for people to have to go through. And this includes doing things like getting feedback. So another example, our rental car. We walked into the rental car place. There were these really happy, bubbly guys there. They already had my booking. I had a form on the screen that I signed digitally. The guy hit submit on that and said to me, in about 30 seconds time, you'll have a copy of that contract in your email. which is fabulous. I didn't have to ask anything. It was right there. It was really quick and efficient. And then he basically just said, you know, if you'd like to go and sit down, we'll bring the car around. And no sooner had I sat down, I received a text message with a tell us how we went kind of link for the company. And I clicked the link and it took me to a really simple feedback form. And it was just a star rating. So rate them with however many stars. Once you clicked on, I think I clicked 5 stars because they were fabulous. Then they gave you 5 different options as to why you rated them as 5 stars. So, and they also had like an other box where you could type your own thing. So it was so easy for me to get that text message, click on it, click on 5 stars, click on the reason why I gave them 5 stars, which was because their staff was so fantastic. And that was it. Now, again, because I was away for so long, I've noticed that I also have about 6 emails in my inbox requesting feedback. And a couple of them, for the purposes of today, I clicked on to see what the feedback process was. And it was a lot more in depth, a lot more detailed. Like, you know, I had to answer all these questions and it was a lot more time consuming. And so I haven't done them yet. And I'm probably not going to do them because I'm busy. So the simpler you can keep it for your customers, the better it is, the more information you're going to get. Another example is you want to make sure that you cover any questions and to manage expectations. So on the FPOS machines, in a lot of the places that we went, they actually gave you the option of selecting whether you wanted to pay New Zealand dollars or Australian dollars. And I have no idea. I don't come across that often. And it was really helpful because I hesitated the first time and the sales assistant jumped in and said, we recommend doing it New Zealand dollars because the exchange rate you're going to get from your bank is going to be better than what you get through the FPOS machine. So that was fantastic. And that was actually the only time where I wasn't given that information up front. There were about 3 other times where the same thing happened. And the staff member immediately, you know, went, oh, if you tap your card on the thing, it will ask you whether you'd like to do it in New Zealand dollars or Australian dollars. We recommend New Zealand dollars, and gave the whole spiel. So again, having your staff really well trained and offering those little extra bits of value can be really, really fantastic. And another example of a not so awesome customer journey experience that we had was we went on a steamboat cruise across the lake. And there were different, again, tiered levels that they offered. So you could just do the cruise, which kind of gave you the beautiful views and everything, or you could get off at the other end of the lake and go and have lunch, or there was like a little farm visit thing that you could do as well. And we just wanted to do the cruise around the lake, and it was actually really quite difficult for us to work out what that involved. Going through the FAQs, trying to work out, can we get off at the other end? Because if you were doing the lunch or the farm visit, yes, you obviously could get off, but it didn't say anything about if you were just doing the cruise. So, you know, we had a lot of questions that we weren't able to answer ourselves. So you want to think ahead on all that stuff. Try and answer all your customers' questions before they even have them, because again, that's really good customer service. It shows that you really care about your people and you want to make things as simple as possible for them. So the 4th point that's really important for you to consider is to monitor and take action before you lose any of your clients or customers. So being proactive is the only way to win when it comes to customer retention. And you need to be able to identify and address early signs of customer satisfaction or dissatisfaction before you lose them. So ways of doing this, or early warning signs, include Decreasing frequency of visits or purchases. So you might notice this as an overall drop-off, or you might notice it that your repeat customers just aren't coming back like they used to. And again, you need those metrics that we spoke about earlier to be able to recognize that. You might notice that you're having lower engagement rates for your loyalty programs or email open rates, that sort of thing, or that you're getting negative or neutral feedback. And on that point, even a 7 out of 10 customer rating, you might think that's pretty good, but that's an early warning sign that you want to be aware of. So if you do start to see any of these early warning signs, there are a few things that you can do. So you want to take action before it's too late. So you can proactively check in. So depending on your business, this could be a phone call or an email or, an in-person interaction. So if you were a service-based business like a hairdresser, it might be you've noticed a client's not coming in as often. Send them a text message, give them a phone call, just find out what's going on, what might be their barrier to not coming back to you. You can use survey tools. So like the Net Promoter Score that we talked about, there's lots and lots of different online tools that you can use. I'll talk in a minute about how you can try and identify what might be useful for your business. But, you can use something a bit more complex like a Net Promoter Score thing, or you can just use an online feedback form, which could just be a form on your website. And you can also offer an incentive to encourage people to participate, whether it's a discount code or, they could go in the draw to win something. Often providing an incentive will encourage people to provide better feedback. You also want to monitor your social media sentiment. So see what's happening on social media. People making comments on posts, or are they not engaging with your stuff like they used to? Ask questions on social media. Like, social media is designed to be social. So don't be afraid to engage with people and to monitor and take action on the feedback that you get. And then have a structured complaint handling process. So ensure that you do have something structured in place, because customers should have the opportunity to feel heard and valued. But the main takeaway from this is that feedback is a gift. So it's really an important part of improving your product or services and boosting your client or customer retention. But something like it, a thing that you often see is that businesses tend to just guess what customers want instead of asking directly. So there is an immense amount of power in asking directly what your customers want. What are they not happy about? What are their barriers to purchasing with you? So again, there's various different types of feedback collection methods that you can use. And if you're not sure, if you don't know where to start, I actually recommend asking ChatGPT. So if you're not used to using ChatGPT, it's a really, really helpful tool, and it can help you identify this low-hanging fruit and also to action some of it. But what you can do if you want to try using ChatGPT to help you find the best feedback collection mode for your business is you need to treat it like it's a trainee in your business. So I like to think about it like it's a 16-year-old, teenager who's just starting to work for my business for the first time. So you explain to it what your business is about. So if it's a small hairdressing salon in, a large shopping centre, you put all that information in. You give it the background information on what your business is, how your business operates. Have you got many staff? Put as much information as you can in, and then ask it to give you some examples or to make recommendations on the best software that might be useful to you to collect feedback from your customers. So you also want to talk about who your customers are, because that's going to matter. If you work more with the elderly, then it might not be that a complex sort of online system is going to be useful. It might be that having one of your staff spend half an hour on the phone one day a week making phone calls is a better way of doing it. So be really specific about your business, about who your customers are, and also be really realistic too about timeframes. So if you don't have a lot of time, say that, we're time poor, we need something that's effective, that's going to give us the information. And chat does a great job of providing information on things like this. It's a way of getting you started. Once you get the recommendations, then you can go and look into them further. But if you're unsure, then it can be a really great place to start. And also you can then take this information and make an appointment with, one of the business advisors that Kel spoke about, or contact Business Tasmania and say, I'm trying to do this. I need someone to help me refine and work out which one to use, or how to implement it. There's lots of services and resources that Business Tasmania can direct you towards. So absolutely do that. So yeah, if you don't ask, you're not going to know, and you're not going to be able to identify the small improvements that you can implement based on your customer suggestions. So customer retention and loyalty is one side of the coin. Now we want to look at some of the opportunities that might be sitting inside your business right now. So what if you didn't need more customers? You just wanted more from the ones that you already have. So this sort of way of thinking, again, we're looking at the low-hanging fruit. It's not about doing a complete overhaul of your business. It's about leveraging or tightening up the easy stuff that you already have in place. So again, low-hanging fruit are the small, easy to implement opportunities that have the potential to deliver easy results. And why that matters in your business, especially if you've been going through a challenging time, because it is a challenging time for business. And leveraging some of these low-hanging fruit, leveraging some of these opportunities can be a really quick way to boost morale for you and also for your staff by delivering quick results. It can provide a quick cash injection into your business. And it's also a way of freeing up resources and building momentum for larger projects down the road. So you might come up with an idea and you pop something in place just to trial it, and then you have the potential, like it works well, and you've got the potential to grow it and extend it over time. But if you don't just give it a quick test first, you don't know what's going to work and what's not going to work. So what I'm encouraging you to look for in your business are the quick wins. So on this little diagram, it's the yellow box up in the top left-hand corner. So these are the things that you can implement without a significant investment of time or money, but as I said, they have the potential to make a big difference. So what I'm sharing with you right here is called an effort versus impact matrix. So this is actually what can help you assess the feasibility of your low-hanging fruit to ensure that they do meet the criteria of a quick win. So what you want to do is get all your ideas, any ideas that you've got already, any ideas that you've received from your feedback, any ideas that you've again popped into ChatGPT and gone, this is my business, this is what I want to do. Give me some suggestions on some quick wins that I might be able to make, some things that I might be able to do. And once you've got that list of ideas, what you want to do is look at it in terms of this matrix. What are things that are low effort, high impact that you can implement right now? You can map out the others too, see where they sort of sit. You might come up with some things that are fill-in jobs. Their impact is not that high. They sounded like a good idea, but they're really not that great. So using this tool can be a really good idea to help you determine which of the things you're actually going to action based on where you're at and where your business and your staff are at the time. So if you Google effort versus impact matrix, you'll be able to see all sorts of different versions of this. So You want to find the ones that fall within the yellow, high impact, low effort quadrant, and you want to do these now. So the key areas that you want to focus on when you're looking for these things are the feedback that you've received from your customers. So look at your feedback and your underperforming areas and see if there's any opportunities there. You want to look at your customer engagement and retention. So any of the things that we spoke about in the first part of this presentation that came up for you that you think, oh, we don't do that, that could be a really cool thing to do. That's something that you want to add to your list of ideas. Other things that you can look at are operational efficiencies. So are there any areas in your business where you've got bottlenecks? So things where you might come across repetitive or time-consuming tasks and processes that you can automate or streamline or simplify or make easier for yourself or your staff. Maybe even it might be that you could outsource some things. And you want to have a look at your current tools and software that you use. So there might be features in those that are really useful to you, but you haven't been utilizing. So these are things that could make a big impact on your business. You also want to look at maximizing your employee skills. So identifying and tapping into underutilized skills and talents within your team. So, for example, do you have someone who's a whiz with words or has an excellent eye for detail? If you do, they could potentially support you in some of your more frustrating or time-consuming tasks like social media. You know, if you don't love doing social media posts, do you have a younger person on your staff who's really good with words and really good with images and ideas? That might be something that you could upskill them to take over for you, because I guarantee that you'll be paying them less than the value that you bring in your time to the business. So if you can offload some of these things to your staff, that's an amazing way of doing it. And the fifth thing that you really want to look at or consider when you're trying to think of low-hanging fruit that you can action right now are sales and revenue growth. So simple strategies like cross-selling. So when someone, you know, buys one thing as an option, if it's on an online store, or even if it's not, even if it's in store, if you have a product that has and you've got another product that actually really nicely complements it, offer it to people. You know, if people don't know what they don't know, if you don't mention that you've got this thing that goes really well together, they're not going to know. So cross-selling, upselling, they're really, really good ways to drive extra sales. And it could also be an email marketing campaign. One of my friends owns a tea business, and every time she sends out a newsletter, she gets a whole lot of sales come in straight away. So email marketing campaigns can be a fabulous way of generating extra revenue just by sending out a newsletter, showcasing some products or services. And again, if you're stuck, ask ChatGPT. Again, tell it about your business, tell it what you're after, think about it like it's someone who doesn't know a lot about your business, explain things, and then see what comes back. So how to make it happen? Identify the opportunity in the ways that we've spoken about, assess the feasibility using the effort versus impact matrix, assign your resources. So work out who and what is required to ensure it gets done. Make sure that you've looked at budgets. If you're going to have to pay for something extra to come in, make sure that you can afford to do that. And also make sure it's added to people's diaries and to-do lists, because if it doesn't get in diaries and to-do lists, chances of it getting done, including your own, are very, very low. Define success. So you want to identify how you're going to measure the success and what it might look like. So it could be using simple KPIs. So time saved, costs reduced, customer satisfaction increased, sales increased, whatever that looks like for you. And test and scale. So if you are introducing something new, start small, keep it simple. If it works, if you see the results, then you can improve and build upon your success. Don't try and tackle something really big right off the mark, because it might not be what is best suited to your business. So it's like the minimum viable product thing. Start small, see how it goes. If it works, make it bigger, make it more polished. So again, once you've got these ideas, if you have any questions or come across any struggles, you don't know what to do, or you're just completely at a loss, you can absolutely contact the Tasmanian Business Advice Service. I've referred so many businesses to this service. As Kel said, businesses with 19 or fewer FTEs, if you've had an ABN 12 months or more, you can access up to 5 hours of advice and support. And if you've had an ABN of 12 months or less, or you don't yet have an ABN, so you're just starting off, you can access up to 2 hours of business advice. So you can go to the website direct, www.businessadvice.tas.gov.au, or just reach out and contact Business Tasmania and they can help point you in the right direction. So do we have any questions or anything that anyone wants to ask specifically?
No questions so far, but a great opportunity now. Mikala's paused. If anyone has a question, either in the Q&A or raise your virtual hand, it's a great opportunity. Not so far. I think that was really thorough, Mikala. No questions have come in. Lots of great takeaways there, I think, that everyone can have a think about and know that they can reach out to the advice services through the Business Tasmania service. So please do so. This is workshop 2 in the series of the Cost of Doing Business series. We're delivering with the Tasmanian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Next week's workshop is around talking pricing. And so Mikala will be joining us again with a guest speaker, I think, next time, Mikala.
Yes, we're going to have Nick Priest from Rural Business Tasmania, and he's also one of the business advisors through the Tasmanian Business Advice Service. And I've worked with Nick on this before, and he's got some really, really great insights to help you know how to set the right price for profitability and growth in your business. So he talks about all the things that you really need to consider when setting prices for your products and services.
Awesome. So to book into next week's workshop or the following 2, because this is part 2 of a 5-week series, you can go to the event calendar on our Business Tasmania website, which you'll find right the right-hand side in the header, and you can book in, and there's no cost to join these sessions. And this session will also be published on our Business Tasmania YouTube channel, so you can go back and refer to it, or other people can actually go in and watch it as well and learn from what Mikala has covered today. Tomorrow we'll send out a short online survey, which we'd really love you to complete. As Mikala said, feedback is a gift, and we really look forward to receiving feedback about what you've heard today. And it's also an opportunity for you to tell us what other events you might like to see us run, what other topics, whether that be online or whether that be face-to-face. So, Mikala, did you have anything else you wanted to add before we wrap up for the day?
No, I think that's about it. The main message is, if you don't know what to do next, reach out to Business Tasmania. Like, don't get stuck. Don't sit on things. Like, take action. Take your ideas. You can absolutely talk to a business advisor, or they can connect you with other services that can help you move your ideas along and take the next step. So be proactive. Once you hit a wall, reach out.
Fantastic. That's a great key message to take away. So the Business Tasmania team is available on 1800 440 026, or through our website. You can connect with us that way as well. So thank you everyone for your time, and we appreciate it. We know how busy you are. So thank you, and hopefully we'll see you next time. Thank you.